Yes, so this young man was introduced to me as well as about another 30 adults. He was the only student in the room where the Los Angeles Economic Development Council, Los Angeles Community College System, and Hulu were convening about workforce career pathways for students who are interested in digital media. And he was very, again, abrupt in saying that, hey, this is great that you guys are having conversations about student future strategies, but there were no students in the room.
Talking to the people who are impacted.
Yes. And so he raised his hand and was somehow invited, somehow got in the room. And we then realized that this was a very unusual young student. And so from that point on, he's become kind of what I have adopted as a mentee to help us become better at peer-to-peer mentoring, finding young people who can mentor young people. And our latest and greatest, we were at Intercom, who bought CBS Radio, which has 247 radio stations in the market. The Wave is one of their radio stations, and they brought us in to discuss producing a potential product. It could be a radio show, it could be a podcast that could reach young people where they are on their phones, through apps, or in their parents' cars, about teaching them how to inform and educate them better on what radio is, its reach, its impact, as well as to create some ways for them to do potentially some student user-generated content on things that they're interested in. So with that, I want to see if I can give this young man a few minutes so that he can discuss some of the things that he'd like to know more about green and clean tech and Laci, and any things that LADWP could do to help him and his student cohort get better at understanding where the opportunities are. So Shoni, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself.
Okay, wow. Well, thank you for the wonderful introduction, Kevin. Hi, everybody. I can't see you, but nice to meet you all.
Okay.
Wow, didn't realize half my head's right there. Oh, hi. Wow. So likewise, what Kevin said is he's been a great mentor for me for the past 2 years, and just being able to go to a tremendous amount of events and get a better understanding of what's all needed to actually put together a team, put together a project, and actually pitch ideas and events to different companies, and to actually try and get it funded, or to actually have it come to fruition after planning it. So one of the things is, what was that? Sorry, my whole coffee thing just fell. So one of the things that I've ran into just from a student perspective is that there's just too much pressure on students to really be able to focus in on developing their own ideas. They're too stressed out, or there's just too much responsibilities that they have on their plate to even try to focus on trying to build themselves a individual career. That, or they're just not interested or aware of what it is that they want to do, because they have been in a system that has mainly been teaching them how to think and what to think about and what to do, rather than teaching them how to analyze, break down, and then to create their own idea or their own solution to something. I think those are like just one of the main issues that I found when I'm putting together different teams, is because I find there's a lot of amazing students out there if you really just look for them, and they are really intelligent, really smart, and able to really extrapolate solutions. So when we were working with the American Heart Association, as well as the NFL, to design a fitness app, health and wellness fitness app, which, you know, I think would be great for just getting kids more active, getting kids more healthy, and making families more interactive with one another, as well as with the school system, which is an app that I really want to push forward. And looking at your guys' site, there's a lot of things that you guys are doing that is pretty incredible. And kind of trailing on here, let me get to the point, the meat and potatoes here. So through that experience of working with those students, um, what I find in particular is that if there's no real, what's the word, incentive or support, not just financial support, but also mentorship support from not just somebody who's young like me, but also from somebody who's experienced and able to give them that the actual, here's where we're going to go. You're going to go to this meeting. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Like how Kevin has done for me. I don't think they're just going to be able to develop anything. That was just one of the things that I've found. Not saying that it's true, but just from my personal experiences, that's what I've found so far to be pretty accurate. So in working with Kevin right now, the thing that we're working on now is with radio, intercom. And so far, me and my dad are the ones working on developing a solution for what they were asking about, which was how do you make radio relevant again, in the sense that for the next generation, because it's similar to kind of how newspapers are kind of like falling on the back foot. They're now online most of the time, and they're kind of like blogs essentially. So they're looking for a way to engage the new generation, the next generation, into being a part of radio. And so that's the current thing that we're working on right now.
Shoni,
Is that it?
for the sake of time, I wanted to
Yeah.
introduce some of
That's
the,
it?
well, yeah, thank you. One of the things I want to do is to get you more familiar or provide awareness for something that I just, in the last couple of months, have become aware of, which is Laci. And the workforce development part of it is really of interest, I think, to you. And I want to introduce you to a young man named Daniel Ferguson to describe his vision for success and to have you ask questions, potentially at the time we have remaining. Daniel, so Daniel, can you introduce yourself to Shoni?
Shoni, nice to meet you. I'm Daniel. Most people around here call me Ferg. So I'm the Workforce Development Director here at Laci. And so for the last year, I've been working on workforce development programs to cater more toward those from disadvantaged communities, those that would otherwise have the opportunity to enter into the clean tech or the green economy if programs like this did. And of course, this has all been made possible, by LADWP, and you'll hear from Keisha shortly, but by them providing us the space, the infrastructure, and then most of all, the financial support, whether directly or in kind, has really been a big contribution. But nonetheless, what we focus on here is equipping and tooling individuals 18 years of age and older to enter into the green economy. And we do that in several ways. We do that through experiential training. We do that through credential attainment and then hands-on experience as well. So the last cohort, we focused on electrical vehicle supply equipment, from the light repair to the maintenance, all the way to the commissioning of the machines. So just to kind of let you know how we approach what we decide to focus on as far as workforce development is just really supply and demand. We've kind of just done it by, kind of taking a look at the landscape and the market to see what will be more prevalent for people to learn. But now we're taking more, I guess, of a strategic approach through our green job study that we just finished a couple weeks ago, but still, being drafted. So with respect to electrical vehicle supply equipment, we know that between now and 2028, there's going to be approximately 84,000 charging stations deployed throughout LA County. So of course we have the supply of folks that can do the installation, but a lack of supply for the folks that can maintain the machines. So now we've just graduated 30 fellows that are now equipped to be EV network technicians. So they're not doing anything with the electrical part, but more so with the actual networking, interfacing with the network operators on the network provider side, and then going out to the stations to troubleshoot the machines. So that's what we're doing here at Laci. Of course, we do much more. The last cohort, we focused on prototyping, manufacturing. We want to resurrect that in the next 2 cohorts. But we have 2 cohorts every year. This was our second one that we wrapped up that fell into the 29 year. We're looking forward to 2 more that's going to focus on electric vehicles, supply equipment, and all that's required to make sure that the customer experience is positive for the electrical charging stations, and then also for the EV driver as well.
Okay. And one of the things, we just finished a tour of the facility led by an LADWP employee. And one of the things we came out of this is, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for us to help, but we'd like to know what your vision for success would be, incorporating not only Laci, LADWP, but the community at large, which we represent.
That's a big question, and I'm sure that Keisha can kind of expound on that. But just personally, the vision I have for Laci as far as workforce development is to make sure that information is disseminated in such a way to where everybody can get it, especially in disadvantaged communities, and then helping, as Bassanio Peters, who's the founder of Assist to Develop, that I hope that I can connect you all with, his terminology is democratizing innovation. And I think that that's really important, especially in this climate. And the way that I envision doing that here at Laci is Laci being deemed as the place to recruit talent in the green, economy or clean tech space. So when you think about clean tech, when you think about recruitment, when you think about training, eventually Laci being an actual training facility that's accredited, that has partnerships with different colleges that can eventually have articulation agreements with colleges. As they're going through our programs here, they're getting credit toward their degree attainment.
So Daniel, let me ask you a question. And the question would be, would it also be feasible that Laci not only trains the pipeline, but then Laci also enters into agreements with some larger companies and trains their employees, or as they onboard employees?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think right now, which is a good starting point that I'm actually learning more about, Jobs to Move America, which is here. They have community labor agreement.
Or PLAs, project labor agreements?
Well, it's a little different than a project labor agreements. It's called community business agreements. It's like a PLA, but it basically
A community benefits agreement?
Yeah, community benefits. That's it. Community benefits agreement. It basically spells out terms for companies that saying that you're going to hire X amount from disadvantaged communities. This will actually be the wage which they'll start with. And so these companies are now coming on board, executing those agreements. So definitely, that would definitely be something.
And the community benefits agreement is somewhat akin to a corporate social responsibility policy that a lot of companies will have.
Yeah.
And that's something that we have done, or that the Port of Los Angeles has done, and I think San Francisco PUC. But it really goes to, when you look at doing business with someone, you want to ask them, well, how are you going to benefit the community before I spend public dollars with you?
You got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually have to jet, but Shoni, it was nice meeting you. Kevin has my information, so if you ever need to reach out, please feel free to do so. And I look forward to having further discussions as well.
Okay, and so thank you for.
Likewise, thank you.
What we're going to do with each is to continue to try to figure out how to build a project plan.
Okay.
And when we recruit to help build that project plan, you'll be part of that conversation, because that's what we're really going to need as a project
Looking forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever Keisha says.
I'll see you later.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Daniel. So, Shoni, how much more time do we have left on this this call? Because
well, it hasn't started. Usually it gives me a 5-minute warning. It hasn't given me that 5-minute warning. So I think we're safe for about like next 5 minutes.
Can we switch over to the new one? Because I've already given that out to 2 other people.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, all right. Switch over as soon as you can.
Switching over.
Okay.